What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about this beautiful 2015 BMW 535i 3.0 twin turbo engine. We're going to be talking about, just a simple serpentine belt, okay? As you can see it's already losing the grooves right here on one edge, okay? Right here. You can see it, it's already lost its groove and it's soaked in oil and it's really soft. Your belt doesn't like oil, by the way, just letting you know right away. So how this serpentine belt can cause you thousands of dollars in damage, okay, if you don't stay on top of this serpentine belt. So the result is this. Subframe dropped, the valve covers was out. The story is this, that this person, most likely, he lost his belt, okay, belt broke. And then, by the way, here's the VIN number, it's a 2015. Beautiful car, by the way. So he lost the belt, and most likely, he took it to the shop. Okay, so here's the grooves are missing. This is, by the way, the new belt, okay? So this is not the old belt. So he took it to the shop, they probably put the new belt and they say, have a good day. And they just let him go. But, in my shop, the BMW shop, I know these cars very well. If I see a broken belt, I go after the crankshaft right away. Because what happens, that when your belt breaks, okay, it spins right here, by the way, your belt, okay? Yeah, so here's the grooves, okay? It spins right here, so when it breaks, it makes itself right behind the crankshaft, okay? The crankshaft pulley right here, and it's, as you can see it was spinning right here. Then what happens is, it damages your crankshaft seal, okay? Right here is your seal. So it's all screwed up, okay? Then it gets sucked inside your engine, okay, the belt. All of these belts actually got fished through the valve cover. They were actually, they made themselves inside the engine, all of these pieces, okay? So when it damages your seal, it gets sucked inside your engine and it gets sucked underneath, the on your oil pickup screen, okay, and it clogs it up completely, okay. So when it clogs it up, when you lose the oil pressure, okay, this is your timing chain guide actually, it broke right here, okay. So you got a hydraulic timing chain tensioner on this engine, okay. So when you lose the oil pressure, you would lose the tension on your timing chain, and timing chain skips, it jumps. So when it jumps, it breaks all kind of stuff. Okay, so we already put the new timing system on this car, okay? So we had to get the valve cover out, retime the entire system, put the new timing chains and guides and blah, 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 all of that. So to put the new gasket, on the valve cover, all of that, we took care of all of that. And then, we put the new oil and we started to prime, okay? You cannot start these engines right away, you're gonna have to prime the system first. So when I was priming it, that's when I noticed, there was nothing coming out of here, oil. So here's the filter. So when you cranking the engine, if you're not getting anything here, which means your screen, at the bottom, it's all clogged up, okay? So, and you can tell this car was throwing oil all over the place. It was probably smoking like hell, because look at this disaster. It's just nasty. It was all covered in oil. See it? So we already put the new crank seal. So crank seal as well, right there. Okay, but look at all this oil. All the compressor, all the alternators, look at all this. Everything soaked in oil. So, to clean the screen, okay, to clean the screen, you're gonna have to drop the oil pan, okay? To drop the oil pan, you're gonna have to drop the subframe, okay? And then look at this subframe. This car was screaming for help. Look at this. It's all just nasty, covered in oil. Look at all this, okay? And then, I'll show you, from underneath, you'll see it. It's all covered in oil. There we go. Look at all this oil. There we go. You see how nasty it is? Everything. Okay? So, when you drop in the subframe, I would suggest, do your mounts, okay? If you're gonna skip this, you're crazy. Just buy it, do it, because it's so easy to do it, so it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money later. Okay, you can see the piece of the belt everywhere. You see, that's a belt too, everywhere. Okay, and look at this. The guy was driving around, with the bent sway bar link. We're gonna replace this. So yeah, there's actually a lot of funny things on this car. Whoever did some work on this, this radiator was actually flipped upside down, okay? And it was put it on the zip ties. All of the zip ties came out of this. I don't know how the hell you do this, but this hoses connects through here, but this hose was actually on this side, okay, from this side. So somebody flipped it over, put it on, and just put it on zip ties everywhere. It was just like, man, unbelievable. But anyways, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of bolts, well, I'm a BMW shop, I know exactly which bolt goes where. So that's why I don't even care, but you need to make a note, if you're doing this, at home or whatever, okay? And all of this parts, you see how much plastic comes out, Yeah, just simple serpentine belt, can cause you thousands of dollars in damage like that, okay? So yeah, if you have these cars, not just 5 Series, because this engine went into a lot of cars, X Series, 3 Series, 4 Series, you name it, X3s, X5s, and all of those. I would check it every week, if you don't like it, you better pay the shop $300-400, and just be done with it. If not, this could be your case, and this is gonna break the bank. Yeah, this is a lot of money to do this work, because we did the timing first, all of that, valve covers and all that. Now we gotta do the bottom end, do all of that, drop the subframes, take out the oil pan, put the new gaskets, clean out the screens and all that stuff. By the way, if you're doing this job, you do not need to take out the bumper. We just had some scratches at the bottom, so we decided to take it out and just, get it repainted, make it new again. So, yeah, that's it, guys. Stay on top of the maintenance, especially, on the serpentine belt. So I really hope, this is not going to be your case. But, if this is your case, I'm sorry, you screwed. Okay? All right, guys, good luck.